Hello, we're
Hello.
back. I'm sure you missed us.
It's Linda and JC from ALTA Fitness.
Yes.
We're here today for our ALTA Talks, and yes, we've been gone since,
A while.
wow, I think our last one might have been October last year. But as anyone would know that living in Melbourne, we came out of lockdown and, wow, we've been busy. We've been super busy, haven't we?
Right. Business is good. We've been quite busy.
Welcoming new clients and doing different things at the studio, and hence we've got new staff, which is great. So welcome back to Estelle and Will and Jason, who's just started with us in the last couple of weeks.
And we have also Andrew Bowie starting as well.
Yeah. So whole new team, nearly half a new team.
Yes.
And lots of new things happening here. So sorry for the delay, but here we are. We're back again today, and today we're going to talk about
nutrition,
health. Yes, how to get healthy.
Food.
Yes, how to get healthy via nutrition,
Yes.
basically. So to start this off, I just wanted to talk a little bit about our journeys into health and what was the trigger for us to really go, okay, well, we need to change the way we do things from a nutritional point of view. So I'm going to start, JC, you can tell your little story because it's a good one.
My little story. Oh, I guess that's relating to when I thought about being healthy, I guess food. Way back many years ago, I was diagnosed as dyslexic. I probably didn't get set. And so my mom wouldn't let me have Coca-Cola or any foods with weird colors in it because it would just make me a bit more loony than I already am. And
not that much has changed.
And I remember being a bit picky with my food growing up. I did like my vegetables, but cheese and certain other foods, but did grow up eating the Frosted Flakes and weird cereals that wasn't so good. And there were Twinkies, no, Hosted cupcakes. I remember eating those.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't so good. Yeah. But there was some trigger at some point when I was about 12, 13, 14 that I started, I wanted to get better at, I was good at sports, and that was helping with my education. I guess I was a bit more clear-headed once I started eating a little bit cleaner. And I met, there was a nutrition store in town, and it was sort of like the hippie store that sold, all organic things way back in the 70s and vitamins and things like that. And started talking to them, and opened a whole new world to me. And I started doing better at sports, and my grades started going up, and I just kept on going along that bandwagon and got more and more into it. And that led me to being probably a bit pedantic about it, but going overboard about it and annoying people because I was, you can't have that.
Me now.
I couldn't be. And long story short, I guess once I started traveling with a bit of work and traveling overseas, you couldn't be super picky, be a vegan or anything. It was just became a bit hard work. So I started eating probably the food that was not the best for me. And white bread and pasta, which everybody else was eating, pasta and white bread and ham and cheese, and it wasn't for me. And I started drinking coffee because I didn't like the coffee, but I drank it just because of the long hours, and my fitness went down, and I started gaining a little bit of weight. And
I've seen some pictures back then.
Hair fell out instantly. No.
It's probably genetic.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, and things have come around. When I first started, it was all fairly organic, no pills or anything, eating very clean food, know where your food came from. And then as time evolved, it became more, I guess, robotic. You're taking more pills and protein powders and things like that, thinking that was the healthy way to go. And now it's come back full circle, not having the robotic food, but having cleaner food, knowing where it's come from. Even today, for example, I went to a cafe just to have a bit of eggs, and I could smell, since the oils on the eggs, it sort of tasted like, well, these are not the good oils that I'm used to, whether they were vegetable oils or what sort of oils, and it was like, it's not the best.
Yeah, you start to become more discerning, don't you, about your food, just because you know what's good, and then when you have something that's well, maybe a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Is acrid the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure. Which you get with some of the oils that, like any vegetable oil, because a vegetable oil is not a vegetable oil, as we know. It's not coming from the vegetables as such.
It's been processed to death and use it as car fuel.
And causes a lot of inflammations.
Yes.
So,
which is another subject.
A whole other subject, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we all have our sort of journeys on nutrition, and
I
think it's important to surround yourself with people that are sort of on the same path.
Hence me.
Yes.
Talking about surrounding myself with people in the same path. This is when I met JC. I really didn't know much about organic foods or anything like that. I hadn't really thought about it. It certainly wasn't in my repertoire when I was young. Yeah, so we are in the studio. So
and the ambulance is going by.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Hopefully somebody's been eating well and it's not that bad.
Yeah.
So, yes, my journey was more that, at my late 40s, I've always watched my weight a little bit. Always been the kid that had to sort of watch it. I've got two very slim sisters who never seemed to worry about it, and they would call me Pumpkin. But, when I look back, I certainly wasn't. We were fit and healthy kids. And I grew up with Mum making all of our foods, and we didn't have processed foods, and we didn't have McDonald's wasn't even around into my 20s, or late teens, 20s. But for me, the sort of change was recognizing that I was starting to put on some weight, and I sort of knew what it was because, I'd started eating more cakes and things that I shouldn't. I hadn't really thought about it being more about the processed foods. But then when I started to get fitter and healthier, I had a great personal trainer who was saying to me, okay, so what are you eating after training? And then I just started to make little tweaks, and I lost quite a bit of weight then, really slimmed off, good lean muscle tone, so it was great. But as I've gone through my 50s, because I'm 56 now, I've had to review again. It's going through menopause and things changing. I've had to review what I eat. But when I met JC, of course, he was one of his first, yes, he was a little bit crazy, but one of his first gifts to me was a box full of organic foods, tea and chocolate and
kombuchas.
Yes, kombuchas and some oil and things like that. And I thought, why is this guy giving me this food? But anyway, now I've done the whole, leapt to the other side, you might say, because now I've become the bit of the guru and the pain in the neck person telling us how to eat. So we're going to move on to a little bit about that.
You being a pain in the neck.
Yes, me being a pain in the neck. No, about us and healthy food. What constitutes healthy food? What can we do to, one day, a few days a week, every week, to the point of going, okay, how am I going to eat healthy every single day in, day out?
In a modern world with, our first world problems, how to eat healthy.
Yeah, that's right. But I'll just, going back to the basics, I guess. If you look at anything, and we listen to lots of podcasts ourselves, we do lots of reading, whether it's really revolves for us around all health. So whether it's, hydration, sleep, socialization.
There's always another
exercise is our job, and we love that, but it's not all the things that we do or believe that it's the only thing to do to lead a healthy life. So this is why nutrition plays a really key role. But if you ask anybody, so I went to get new glasses a couple of months ago, and I asked our optometrist, so tell me, what do you suggest to keep healthy eyes? Everybody says the same thing. Yes. So it's not new. It shouldn't be new to you. And if it is, that's great. You're learning some things today. But if you know us at all, you'll know that the key things are, unprocessed foods, low carbs, lots and lots and lots of vegetables, good proteins, good oils, good hydration, organic where possible, and more. So they're the sort of things that, it goes across the board. No matter where I read, if you go down and say, well, what are the nuts and bolts of these things? It's those. And that is exactly what my optometrist said. So it's
and the doctor, my doctor, he says,
and the dentist.
And the dentist.
Yeah. So everybody is saying the same things, but why aren't we doing it? What's changed? Yeah, it's convenience.
It's too hard.
If I look back to when I was a kid, my mum said we were the last of the processed food generation, or unprocessed food generation. It's because Mum cooked everything from scratch. So I learnt to make all the food by scratch. So I used to make the family meal, and we would eat dessert every night and have cake after school. And we weren't big kids. We were active, and we're certainly very healthy.
But now these days, it's hard. You're running home from work, and then you just want to. It's easier to have that cake from the shop, and you get used to eating that. You have it once or twice, and then that cake from the shop starts to taste all right and better and better.
It becomes your favorite.
Yeah, it becomes your favorite, and your body becomes tolerant, I guess, to that, and you get used to it, almost addicted to it.
Yes. I would call it, I would actually very much call it an addiction and then to certain foods.
But if you go off it for a long time, say, for example, many years ago, I loved those chocolate teddy bears. When I first came to Australia, I ate really healthy, except for those chocolate teddy bears. They were my downfall. And I can't remember last time I had one. Maybe a couple of years ago, I was like, oh, chocolate teddy bears. They were there, and I tasted one. I'm like, oh, they were so sweet, it made me nauseous. Like the amount of sugar that was in it.
That's because during that time, though, you'd started reducing the sugars that you were having. You were just eating basically good, healthy foods, and there's nothing wrong with sugar. And good sugar, and in moderation. It's when it's processed in everything that we consume.
Made in the factory.
Yeah, like if you look at, I just get horrified sometimes that I'm looking at something that's, in a marinade, in a meat that you might buy at the butcher, and you're asking what they're putting into it, and they put sugar in. I really don't know why we have to put sugar into things. Yes, I can understand we want something sweet, but why are we putting sugar into something savory? Someone needs to explain that to me. By the way, if you want to ask any questions, you can just put in the comments, and we'll answer back to you. Or anything that we suggest today, we can also put in there as well, any websites that we refer to. In fact, JC's got one.
I've always pick out little articles in the news feed about, of course, health and nutrition. And there is from the London Times, professor, he's a Dr. Norman Lazarus. Say that in his Lazarus. He's in his 80s, still practicing medicine. And the little article goes on to, he was in his 50s, a bit overweight, not feeling so good, and knew he was going down the track of prescribing medications like he was prescribing to his patients. And he goes, he was not feeling so good, and going, I'm going down the wrong path. And the light bulb went on at age 50, which we're at. And he put down his fork and started researching clean, healthy foods. At that time, he didn't think much of organic, healthy foods, and he was just eating whatever was there at the cafe. And when the light bulb went on, he started eating food from the local farm. And the blue zones, if you know the blue zones, where they talk about longevity, so everything in moderation. So he started exercising, knowing where his food came from, cut out all that processed food. He lost lots of weight and no pills. He all his patients, this is what he tells them, and you're not getting these pills until you start eating healthy and do some exercise, surround yourself with like-minded, healthy people.
See, I love that, right? Going to the brunt of because we do know, now we're not doctors.
Here's a quick picture of him in his 80s, bicycling around in England, London.
Yeah, okay. And, going back to where I was, I love it. And, the medical profession is absolutely necessary enough. And when we're going to change anything, it is highly recommended that you go and speak to your health practitioner first before you go make any drastic moderations. But I don't think it's a drastic moderation to start eating healthy. It's not it's not like, oh my gosh, should I check with the doctor that I should stop eating Tim Tams? No. I think you can stop eating Tim Tams. I don't think anyone's going to say that those Tim Tams are going to cause you to get a disease. I think that if you stop eating Tim Tams, you'll actually find that you're actually getting healthier. That's just my thoughts. Obviously, these are all our own thoughts, and that's what we're sharing today.
But you want to go talk about our recent journey?
Yeah, like you're talking about our fat loss protocol?
Yes.
Okay. So this is something that, again, because I'm always looking, there's no particular diet that I'm particularly that we follow as such. Yes, I do have a leaning towards a ketogenic diet, a healthy ketogenic. I think I've mentioned this before. There's difference between healthy, like with this one that I follow that's called Keto Green with the Dr. Anna Chewbacca. She's from the States. And also Cindy O'Meara, who I've done the fat loss program with. She also has a healthy keto program. They're healthy keto programs. And I don't think you have to see it as a ketogenic diet. It's a way
it's just a clean eating diet.
Clean eating diet, yeah. And are you missing out? I think, I don't think you're missing out on Tim Tams for sure, and processed chips and things like that, but you're certainly not missing out on good, healthy food. You're getting that, and as long as you do well, you're doing it with all the nutritional.
Yeah. So back to the our little recent journey.
Oh yes, our recent journey.
So what was it called?
The Cindy O'Meara Fat Loss Protocol.
Yes,
it's called Changing Habits. So changinghabits.com.au.
And you went on it a while ago.
I did. I went on it October last year and lost 10 kilos.
Yeah.
The reason why I did it is because over the last 5 years, as I've gone through menopause, I just noticed that my weight was going up and up and up, just little bits.
And why?
Why? I really couldn't determine what it was. I didn't feel like I was changing anything. Research of one, I think that by the time I've got through menopause, all the years of those toxins that I've been adding to my body with flavors and preservatives and pollution in the air, stress, that's been probably a bit of it, losing mum, starting up our own business, things like that, they all add to that. Son on the autism spectrum.
Yes.
It all factors in. And I thought, you know what, this is not the person I want to be. And people would say, oh, I know, you look really slim, you're pretty, you're healthy. And I go, I am. But really, when I look at it now, I was healthy, but now I'm healthier. And I'm really optimizing my health for my family and longevity. And I've lost 10 kilos.
And then you went off, and then we went on it again together.
Yes,
so I did it with you.
Yep, which we're just about to get in our last few days. And again, I've lost a few more kilos, which I just wanted to lose because I had a personal weight I wanted to get down to.
And I lost a few kilos and started sleeping a bit better because it's easy as over COVID. I've always sort of maintained between 60 and 65 kilos most of my life. But over work, doing work and kids, it's easy with the kids. They don't eat all the meal. Instead of wasting money, I was like, I'm going to eat those chips, or I'm going to eat their leftover food so we don't throw it away. And then, of course, a bit of weight comes on, less exercise, so the muscle mass goes down and the weight stays the same. But all of a sudden, I'm carrying a few extra kilos around the waist.
Yeah.
So I did it to support Linda and also lose a bit of weight for myself and get healthier.
But what else have you learned from it? Because before I ask JC, I'm going to tell you some key things that I have learned from it. And the second time around is only reinforcing that I was moving in the right direction. But one, I listen to how my body feels. So if I eat something, I can almost immediately tell if it's going to give me inflammation because I come bloated, because I'm not bloated when I'm eating well. So often I find when I go out, nearly every time I go out, and I just let myself splurge a bit, you can guarantee that the inflammation occurs over the next couple of days, and it takes me near on a week often to see that.
Yes, I can
decline.
Smell. You would have some eggs or something. You can smell the wrong oils, but if we've gone out and go, okay, we're going to eat healthy, but make good choices, but not be too pedantic about worrying about what we eat. But then always, I got a stuffy head, stuffy nose, even not counting wine or anything. It's still that whatever's in the processed food that still get a stuffy head, and I can feel a bit bloated as well, and it does take a while to lose that weight. And if you think about it over time, if you're going out over and over again, that stuffy head or bloating is just going to stay with you, and it'll be.
And that's when you start.
You won't even notice it after a while. That bloated, stuffy nose. You're not gonna.
You don't even know. That's right. And this is the thing I didn't realize.
They call it a walking, walking sickness.
Okay. Well, that would make sense because I always thought I wasn't bloated. I tell you what, I was, because now I'm not. It makes a big difference to how I feel. But the key things are just not that. It's also that I don't. Get night sweats at night time. My right knee, which I always have a little bit of a jiggling problem with, pain's completely gone. And this is, we're not paid by this, by the way. Changing habits is something we've chosen to do. We're not on their ambassador program or anything like that. We've just found something that we know works. We've got another client going through it at the moment. She's seeing some magnificent changes, but it's not just about losing weight.
It's
I can't
about
stress
seeing
that enough.
how food affects you and timing of food too. If you're having too much heavy food at night, of course you're not going to sleep very well. So when are you timing your meals, which is not always easy with a busy lifestyle.
Trying to eat before 7.
Yeah, eating at, not eating a big meals before you go to bed, or even throughout the day if you have a big meal, and then you're going to be a bit sleepy and less productive.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about that, you can certainly contact me or get onto that changinghabits.com.au site because she's got different options there. And plus you can do courses with her about learning to do like growing your own food and things like that, which is something I'd like to do.
And the other thing that I thought interesting, she had a whole book on where food is made.
Oh, Lab to Table. That's my book of the year. Absolute book of the year. I've already got people to purchase it because I've raved about it. People lent it out. In fact, I don't have it here today because I've lent it out to somebody else. So it talks about where our food comes from.
And the manufacturing process, how it's changed over the years.
Whether it's natural doesn't necessarily mean it's made naturally. Can I just tell you that the processes that they go through, there's a product called Just Egg, which is horrifying, actually, to think that they suggest that it comes from a mung bean, but the fact that it comes from a mung bean and then the way they process that, and then they add all these natural flavors, and it's all chemically based. And they make this claim that that they save all these, miles, but in actual fact, they might produce it in the factory, but all the miles it took to get all those extractions and every other ingredient that they put, and they put sugar in it.
I think if you can see that.
Why would you put sugar? Yes, in a replacement egg product. Just eat what nature provided. That's my biggest thing. Lots of proteins, good oils.
Easy.
To go on to that too, just another step, because we've talked about what are the other things, because obviously our immune system is very much associated with what we consume, and as is exercise. So, if you've got a compromised immune system, have a look at changing your diet. There's probably something in your diet that's going to, not necessarily going to cure you, that's for sure. Again, it's a doctor's thing that you need to refer to, but there are immune diseases that have definitely been researched and are definitely showing that they cure the problem. In fact, I was reading the other day about schizophrenia and ketogenic diets, Parkinson's disease. And I know it's not everybody, but I would always think that, rather than going, here's the pill, you can take the pill if that's what you want to do, or the medication, because there's no doubt that there's going to be some benefits, but also look at your diet. Got to look at your diet. Which brings me to
COVID. With COVID going around, there was a whole lot more information out there and research going on, being healthy in the immune system, because I guess the evidence is that people that have been affected by COVID have been fairly unhealthy. Yeah. Or, a chronic inflammation, other underlying issues. And then most of the evidence that we're reading is talking about how your health status and your immune function and your diet affects the way the COVID affects you.
So in light of what we're talking, because we've now got like 6 minutes left before JC has a client, so we definitely have to finish at 2:30 today, there's fasting is another approach that we also use. So for women, the latest sort of research that I've been reading, and I've read it in a couple of different places now, is that fasting for women is a completely different approach to fasting for men. For men, it's far more successful, and it doesn't seem to have some of the implications that women have because of our hormones. So this is just my own suggestion. Yes. I believe strongly in a 12-hour fast. I think that, and from what I've read, our last meal is at 7 o'clock at night, not eating until 7 o'clock in the morning. It gives our time and our body to digest the food. So if we keep adding food to it, then the body's always looking for something. So the body needs to fast. And they do say for women, not over 14 to 16 hours, because it starts affecting our blood glucose levels, which can affect our hormones. I don't know the whole details to that, but so I stay clear of that. I'm really happy to do a 12 to 14-hour fast, but that's my limit. Men, the results are very different. And so if it's a good
but you don't have to do it all the time.
No.
And,
and whether you do, the odd 24-hour fast, like, there's the 5 to 2, or you just do it a couple of times a year, it's really, really up
cleansing.
to
Most religions have a fasting built into their religion.
Yeah.
And, feast and famine sort of thing. And
so then I just wanted to quickly touch on, like, what would you do today if you were to change something today? My idea,
a simple one,
is that you swap one of your meals for a salad. Good protein and salad, and 100 to 200 grams of protein, and a good salad with some olive oil or avocado oil, not canola oil, not dressings that are pre-made.
Yeah.
Even check when you go out. I do now. I check that the dressing that they make, what do they put into their dressing? So if they say vegetable oil, or I have it on the side, and just usually don't eat it, to be honest. A good salad is always, if someone makes a great salad, don't really need dressing. Or you keep it very simple dressing. That's really a day one approach. If you just wanted to change something. So that's what I often say to clients. If you're not going to change anything,
look at one thing that you want to change. Yeah. We always recommend water. Think about where your water, ideally it's filtered, doesn't have any funny chemicals in it, and you're drinking a bit more water.
Yes.
You always need more water. Rarely do we find somebody that doesn't need more water.
Or as we say, start your day, 2 big glasses of water. So I have 500 mils. I have 250 gram glasses of water the first thing in the morning. The first one has some colloidal minerals in it and some apple cider vinegar.
That's another story. But I need warm water. If I drink cold water, it's like bleh, but if I drink it warm with a little lemon in it, not a problem, and my stomach feels okay.
Yeah. Well, for me, I've really just by adding that 2 glasses of water into my morning, and then just doing the way I normally drink, that's really bumped up my hydration.
Yeah.
So it's, for some people, that's all you need to do. Just start that day with the 2 big glasses of water.
That's one, big change right there, and you feel heaps better.
And then from a step on from that, we actually do have just written a 3 day eating plan. It's an example of how we eat. So if anyone is interested in that, we're really happy to share that with you. It starts with the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We don't snack. Rarely do we snack. Our kids do, but kids are kids and they're out doing activities, so they will. But we'll try and keep them to as healthy as we can. And then, if you're wanting to make more further changes, then you've got to consider that
what changes you want to make, and where's the easiest place to change. Is it breakfast, lunch, dinner? If you have a dinner and you're with the whole family and everybody's eating 10 different meals, that's probably the harder place to change. But if you can change in the breakfast, if you're just by yourself, that's
starting with eggs
or your lunch,
your oats, and things like that. But also listen to your body. So you really do need to listen to your body, because like I always say, if I have 2 eggs, I'm feeling satiated. If I have 3, I almost feel like being sick. I don't know why that is, but I'm listening to my body. If I have white bread, it sits in my chest. I really do listen, and then I don't just even listen. I can look, because I can see the bloating if something hasn't agreed with me. But how does it make me feel? Does it make me fresh? Like eating an apple, like a crunchy apple, just makes me feel good about myself, but it also just adds a little bit of that sweetness into the afternoon. And if I'm going to at all snack, that's what I would do, especially if I fasted. I often have a piece of fruit.
And I like, if I have an apple, I feel I get a little bit of hit, but also it does something to my blood sugar, and I feel whoa, and then I feel almost crashed. But if I combine it with a handful of nuts, I'm fine. So everybody's a bit different how they react to the food.
That's the whole other thing about talking about combining foods and what foods can actually, if you eat them together, how they work well together. That's right. But if you're looking for something longer term, really seriously look about it. That, if you've got to lose something like 10 kilos, just making those little changes is going to take a long, long time. So have a look at doing something like we've done, the fat loss protocol, or something else like whatever you can find. I actually found an Alzheimer's one, a 30-day plan for Alzheimer's, which again is very much how we eat anyway.
Yeah.
It's
we
all
eat for
the
Alzheimer's?
same.
No,
No. But I don't think we'll have Alzheimer's. That's my hope anyway.
I hope so.
or any sort of dementia, because we're already eating well, we're moving well, good relationships, lots of hydration. We're thinking, learning constantly. That's our tips for the day. Have you got anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I think ask lots of questions. I think
ask where your food came from. I did. I looked up xanthan gum today. I tried. Xanthan gum is seen as natural, but oh my God, I'm not going to have that anymore. That's not why.
Yeah, I bought something the other day. It was supposed to be healthy, and it was packaged, and then brought it home thinking, oh, this is nice, and then looked on. They had xanthan gum in it.
Yes, it was a kangaroo. It was a kangaroo, and it had 450, 451. I said to JC, I'm not eating it. You'll have to eat it now because you bought it, but there's no way I'm going to eat that. So look for the book, Lab to Table. We'll put that on here.
Yeah.
Go and look at some. Do your own research. Ask questions. If you see an ingredient out there, you can look up any ingredient. Where does it come from? Look it up. See how it's processed. All you have to do, like for me today, how is xanthan gum made? So now I'm definitely avoiding any food xanthan gum. Actually, I think I already was, but the fact that JC came home with that product just really went, I keep telling him.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to finish for today, aren't we?
Yes,
so,
we're finishing.
If you've got any questions, just put it into the box for us, and we'll look forward to, in another month's time, doing our episode 13. Yet to be determined.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to us today, and we will see you in a month's time.